Jennifer, it's so great to see you again. I'm so glad to see you here. And you're with the Ruth Institute?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about the sign behind you.
Okay, so the Ruth Institute is an interfaith coalition to defend the family.
Okay.
And we represent pretty much every faith tradition, you know, a lot of the Western faith traditions.
Right.
And our mission is to make the family great again, and what we mean by that is that we think children have a right to their own parents.
Okay.
Children have a right to know their identity.
Okay.
And parents have the right to raise their own children in accordance with their values. And so we got wind of the fact that the State Department, Secretary of State Pompeo, has formed a commission on unalienable rights.
Okay.
And so we like the sound of that, unalienable rights. And the mission of that commission is to advise the Secretary of State on rights issues whenever they're dealing with international governments, international agencies, United Nations, and so on.
Yes.
So this is a big strategic thing that the Secretary did, because when the United Nations says human rights, what they mean is sexual rights.
Right.
And when they say children's rights, they mean children's rights to have sex without their parents knowing. That's what they mean.
Right.
So Secretary Pompeo put on this commission serious scholars of human rights in the natural law tradition along the lines of the American founding. So the chairman of that commission is Mary Ann Glendon, who wrote a book years ago called Rights Talk.
Okay.
She has also been ambassador to the Vatican. She's a law professor at Harvard, pro-life, solid, very serious person, and that commission is filled with people of comparable stature. So they're going to be thinking about rights in the correct way, right? And then give the secretary the equipment he needs to go in and negotiate and argue and so on and so forth. So we thought, aha, this is an opening for the Ruth Institute. So we created something that we call the petition, the Ruth Institute Declaration on Unalienable Rights, and a petition to make America great again by making the family great again. We want to make the family great again. So we have a few clauses that are like whereas clauses. Whereas marriage and the family are universal institutions for the stability of society and the continuation of the human race. Whereas loyalty and fidelity are universally recognized as values, whereas children need their mother and father, whereas stable, loving families provide the basis for strong societies, including thriving economies, national security, and international peace, whereas the United Nations and other international organizations often work at cross purposes to these important truths, whereas making America great again requires that we make the family great again, both at home and abroad. Therefore, we, the undersigned, urge the Commission on Unalienable Rights to work for the recognition of the following fundamental rights. Number one, the right of every child to a relationship with his or her natural mother and father, except for unavoidable tragedy. Number two, the right of every person to know the identity of his or her biological parents. Number three, the right to life from conception to natural death. And number four, the right of families to educate their own children in their faith tradition and values without being undermined by the state.
Wow.
So
this is huge.
It's huge. Huge.
Yeah.
I don't think you got the accent quite right.
Okay, you're right, but I mean it's right in line with the president's agenda.
You know what? And we feel that it's important that people be able to articulate these rights and the reasons for them.
Yes.
And we're finding here at Values Voters Summit that everybody agrees with what we're talking about, but they haven't put two and two together.
Right.
And so that's why we at the Ruth Institute have put this together. If you go to the Ruth Institute Facebook page or the Ruth Institute website, which is ruthinstitute.org, you will find in the rotating carousel at the top of the page this kind of look, this make the family great again look, and you click on that and it will take you to the whole page where all of the information is, the background on the commission, as much information as you would want about this issue, including a few articles where people who champion so-called sexual rights say bad things about the commission, which tells us that this commission is right on.
Yes.
Right, if the right people are mad about it. So we want everybody to sign the petition.
I've signed.
Get involved with what we're doing, and let the Secretary of State know and Commissioner Glendon know that there are people who care about these issues, who will back them in a pinch, right? If they stick their necks out, there'll be somebody who will be there to say, you go, you go, we're with you, you know? And people on our side don't do nearly enough of that.
Yes.
So if you are the kind of person, you want to get something done?
Yeah, but this is the interesting thing that you're talking about this right now. Just last week I was talking with a person. She had gone over to Uganda, and she was talking about what she's doing, talking about Alfred Kinsey and his studies and how they have led to the model penal code and a lot of the things that they've done to really undermine morality, undermine sexual mores in the United States. But she was also mentioning that there were the Ugandans that were very receptive to her teaching, and that both the ministers and the government officials were working together, but under a previous administration with a previous female Secretary of State, they were told that if they were to push sex education, they would be given $500 million.
Yeah.
To which they said, we would rather be poor and honor God than to be rich and dishonor God.
So that's a very important point, because traditionally the United States State Department has been very hostile to family values abroad. Mm-hmm. The United States State Department has been involved in promoting abortion, contraception, sex ed, those type of issues abroad. And exactly the way you just said, that the condition for U.S. aid is accept our agenda, you know?
Right.
And so when we, on this piece of paper, when we printed it out, we printed the names of some of the prominent signatories. Many more have been added since then. This is just what's in print. But we had no trouble getting pro-life leaders from foreign countries to sign this because they're fed up. You know, they are fed up with U.S. foreign policy undermining the family abroad. So that's why we think this is an opportune time. It's a good thing for the pro-life movement. It's a good thing for the pro-family movement. And I really appreciate you talking with me about it today, Jeff.
Oh, that's again, it's wonderful. The one final thing that she said that she was talking with this Ugandan person. Said, "I've got to tell you, I hated America and I hated Americans because of the immorality that you were trying to put on our country. But now that we see that there are some people that are standing up for these things, I have to rethink my view of America and Americans."
I'm so glad to hear them say that.
Yes.
I have been at events where the international mixed audience, you know, people from America and from abroad, and I've started my talks by saying, I want to apologize to you who are from foreign countries for what our government has done abroad. And they applaud. They applaud when I say that. So it's a bigger issue. I think many people in the pro-life movement don't realize just how big this is.
It is a huge issue.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and it's so wonderful to see you. Thank you for all that you do. Dr. Jennifer Roback Morse of the Ruth Institute, you are one of the great leaders. I really appreciate you for standing strong, and why don't you get a picture with the hat?
All right, here's the hat. Values Voter Summit. We've been giving away these great caps to anybody who signs our petition.
And I've got mine. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.